Hello, and welcome. Today I'm showing off my Aetherdrift series of small vessels that I've built in Empyrion. I've got 7 different variants here, all derived from one. There's an original one that I built, and then there's the one that's everyone's sort of directed to as the original, but it's not the original. It's just, for the sake of continuity across everything, the original. The first one I built, and these aren't in any real particular order, but the first one I built is this one. I do want to show this one off first. Excuse me. I'm gonna take a drink right quick. Okay. So this is the, I call it Fortune's Bounty. This particular vessel was designed with, it's a cross. The best way I can describe it is that in my head I was trying to find something that was a cross between the Razor Crest from The Mandalorian and a Republic LAAT from the Clone Wars. Those of you who know what I'm talking about will immediately understand what it is I'm getting at. So, without further ado, let's do a quick once around of the vehicle here. As you can see, other variants in the background. Then we'll go inside. You can see we've got laser cannons, or pulse lasers I believe is what they are, and missiles on the top. Those are dumbfire missiles. Okay, so coming in here, first thing you'll notice on the right here, this is the holding cell, seat 6. Of course, right now you'll have to get somebody who is, cooperative enough to actually sit there and stay there. Ammunition and standard cargo containers. And then everything that the bounty hunter would need is up here in this cabin. Constructor, food, armor locker, and such. Excuse me. Windows on the ceiling. Wraparound cockpit while keeping the pilot relatively safe from fire on the sides here with this metal armor. Steel armor, hardened steel. This whole thing is hardened steel. All the other variants are just steel. Jetpack on. Alright, next up is the Aether Freight. This, by the way, is an Aetherdrift. It's just a highly modified Aetherdrift. This is an Aether Hull. This particular one was designed for freight. It's got a sizable cargo hold on it, if I remember correctly. Let's see here. Yes, 75, 70. So it's quite large for a small SV. Probably not the largest. I imagine somebody else has built one bigger, but for the purposes of this particular class of vessel, it is a pretty sizable cargo hold. We've got a bed here for long voyages. It'd be interesting to see if we actually got like an actual bed. We get the ability to move in these things while they're moving. You could like take a nap or whatever while you drift through space. This one has standard machine guns. That actually comes standard, and it has the standard fuel pods on the wingtips rather than laser cannons. So this is the Aether Drop. This is a combat drop, troop transport, basically. The idea is to basically jump from one location to another, drop your dismounts off, and then take off and jump back. Usually used for insertion of Spec Ops teams from one planet to another. This is the Aether Tour. The Aether Tour is kind of like the private jet of the Aetherdrift class, or Aetherdrift series. So we've got this nice hardwood flooring in here, ceiling, skylight, and ceiling lighting. Seats up to 8 passengers, stewardess seating, kitchen area. Cockpit doesn't change too much variant to variant. Okay, so in terms of all of their descriptions, this one is actually labeled the derivative vessel. This is the Aetherdrift. This is the original passenger transport that everything else was derived from. Standard machine guns. So this is the Aetherdrift. Aetherdrift has a number of modifications made to it in order to facilitate its role. And it's really just meant for moving large things from surface to orbit, but it's also got the capability of jumping as well, for when it needs to make those planet-to-planet jumps. This is the Aetherfire. This is basically designed to sit on the edge of the enemy's borders, or as far out as possible, while maintaining range of its own guns, and just launch railgun rounds at the enemy from afar without being noticed. Usually would get these operating in groups of 3 or more. Inside we have a number of consoles with LCD screens and plenty of ammo storage. This thing is also capable of long-term combat support. So let's say you're assaulting a station and you have a number of fighters that you're sending at the station directly. You could have a squadron of these, or maybe not a squadron, but a wing of these sitting off in the distance, just pounding away at the station from afar. So that's the entire lineup of the Aetherdrift series. If I come up with other variants, I will add them. But for the meantime, I think this is it.